Getting back to St. George and its importance for figuring out the beginning of the age of
Oh yeah,
dinosaurs.
yeah. It's amazing. The catalyst, I
Yeah.
mean, there were 200 sites known in Washington County, and now we're well over 700 sites in Washington County. More people looking, calling Andrew, calling the museum and reporting sites, calling us and reporting
Yeah.
sites. This place is an important place, for geology and paleontology. But if it wasn't for that catalyst, that discovery by Sheldon Johnson, the
Right.
right person making the discovery, because a lot
Hmm.
of his neighbors, oh yeah, you can sell these and get rich. And Sheldon's only a view, him and Laverna, is, we've been gifted this incredible thing. How do we use it to benefit our community? That's the only thing I ever heard out of their mouths. That family's only interest is what can we do to support the citizens of St. George and the citizens of Utah.
That's a beautiful thing. Well, tell us the
Yeah,
story
it's
there. How did all of this start with Sheldon Johnson?
he's an optometrist, so Dr.
Okay.
Sheldon Johnson, very interested in his community, served on the school board for 19 years, promoting
Uh-huh.
education in St. George, figuring out how to build schools cheaper than the developers would build them. When they build schools, contract it yourself, you're going to build it a lot cheaper. And Sheldon figured this out a long time ago. So he's building the best, most economic schools in the state for square footage.
He set up the first program in the area to help children with disabilities in school too. Does that sound right?
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
kind of people they were.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is this is why this has been such a success.
Right.
It's not all the science. The
Hmm.
scientists came down and saved St. George. No, this is the community.
Right.
Pulling in scientists and anyone that can help. I mean,
Hmm.
Laverna was going to Washington testifying before Congress multiple times. That thing wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for them. Any of this stuff is up to the citizens. And people in the US need to understand it. This is America. People run the country.
Yeah.
That's how it's supposed to be.
That's
And
how it's
when
supposed to be. Yeah.
citizens stand up and say,
Yep.
we want this, it happens. You had Sheldon Johnson, 20 years school board. Only interest on this thing is what can we do for our community? you know, and
Uh-huh.
that started getting the ball rolling. Sheldon was leveling this area off. He'd bought these big farm plots along the Virgin River, and they were leveling off the area for a potential future shopping mall or industrial park or whatever it was going to be,
Mm.
just knowing it'd be worth more money flat. So his stepson, who was a geology instructor, told him, you should look for tracks, dinosaur tracks, because they've been found out in those rocks. And of course, they didn't tell him to look under the rocks.
He was only looking
Because
on
one
top.
day, Sheldon was out there, big boys with big toys. So he's running his track hoe, peeling up this sandstone layer, and he flips over this big block. And
Uh-huh.
here's this big, beautiful natural cast of the foot of a dinosaur. And he
Uh-huh.
thought it was a real dinosaur foot sticking out of the ground, underneath, you
Just
know,
mummified there.
coming out. Because he was like, what's this? I thought they're supposed to be on the top indents.
Uh-huh.
It's a beautiful track. All the claws, everything's perfect. Scales. Sheldon, got really excited about it. And I got a call basically, come down, you got to check these out. It's a
Sure.
construction site. So they're going to destroy everything,
Uh-huh.
which is what happens in construction sites.
Yeah.
And basically, okay, go down there, save some track blocks. We put in the rock garden around the Utah Geologic Survey, Department of
Hmm.
Natural Resources building. And I went down there, one of my first trips after getting this job. Andrew met me down there, and Sheldon and Laverna, and showing us the stuff. And Sheldon starts talking about how he'd love to see a museum built there and,
Hmm.
preserve this site for the school children of St. George. And, so I go back to Salt Lake. First thing they say, well, what'd you bring us? Did you bring us some nice stuff for the rock garden? And it's like, didn't bring you anything.
It's
Because
staying there.
Dr. Johnson has got it well in hand. And
Hmm.
what they want to do by far is the best thing that could happen for that incredible discovery down there. Let's work with them and help them. Sheldon basically built a fence around the place because people are walking off of tracks or trying to. And, then pretty soon thereafter, he built a big shade area over on one side. so they could put blocks under it and people could look at them, because St. George is toasty. It's in the
It
desert
gets warm.
in palm tree country. Gets
Yeah.
real warm. So
Yeah.
this is all out of his own pocket. He built a major shade structure, permanent, pillars, and then moved in tracks. There's all these big track hose across the road, flattening the whole other side of the road
Uh-huh.
across River
Just
Drive.
destroying all
I'm
that
like,
rock.
what's going on? They're ripping into the track site. They're just,
Uh-huh.
what are they doing over there? Who's doing this? I said, oh, that's one of the developers. They're setting this up as a big development. And basically, I got a hold of Darcy Stewart. Was it Sun Homes or something down there?
Who
Big
was the landowner
developer in
or
the
the
valley.
developer or?
The landowner and developer of that
Okay,
area.
gotcha.
They put the road through. Darcy and Sheldon both owned property there. They decided Sheldon would get the land east of the road and Darcy would get all the land to the northwest of the road. The road just diagonally right through their properties. So they made an agreement to split it at the road. And Darcy, everyone's telling Darcy, you're going to get rich, this stuff. So they started loading track blocks onto flatbed trucks and driving them out to Hill City.
They're going to sell them,
I guess. But I got Darcy to let Andrew, collect data from the blocks before they left, photograph them. One day, Andrew says he was, over there working on the main site. He's looking across and all the equipment had stopped. And there were guys out there with brooms, brooming this area off. So Andrew wanders across the road and they're all sweeping this over. And Darcy shows up, is like, what are you guys doing? You're supposed to be working. They show them, well, look at this. There are tracks and there were these big potholes in the surface. And there were ripples on the surface. These big potholes, they were, a couple feet across, 10 inches deep. And we thought maybe these are sauropod tracks, early sauropods. So we're real excited. Darcy's looking at this and he just starts shaking his head. We got to preserve this. It's like, I can't destroy this. There's no way.
Yeah.
So Darcy said, okay, we got to figure out how we can donate this land to the city, make this part of the whole complex. And they went out and brought all the blocks they brought to Hill City back, started storing them across the road on Sheldon's property. Some of the land over there, they built a school on, Fossil Ridge Intermediate School. There was another big area they were going to make into an LDS steakhouse. Andrew discovered on this hill at the time the oldest Animipus tracks anywhere in North America. Animipus are ornithopod tracks, just real basal ones. The LDS Church traded the city of St. George for some other property for the steakhouse and turned that hill over to the city for the site as well, to preserve the sites. So the church headed land, developers. I mean, this is more than one, the invested people in that area.
It's a story of the community coming together to protect these fossils. It's a beautiful thing.
No, this is such a classic American story. I mean, it really is. I mean, they should do a documentary about this. I wish Sheldon was still alive because it's such a good story, of people, doing the right thing. Other people might look at them saying, well, they were silly. Why would they do that when they could have made money?